Carter. I'm a professor at ENAC, the French Civil Aviation University, and I'm working on these two projects, CODA and TRUSTY, and I'm really happy today to come here and to explain to you our approach with this digital assistant and with CODA, and how we work with Trust, the TRUSTY project, and how this is aligned with the EASA AI guidelines. Okay, so let's jump directly into the first one with the CODA project. So it seems a bit complex, but in fact it's a workflow, and CODA is an AI-driven support for air traffic controllers. And what is interesting into this project is that CODA is a digital assistant for en route air traffic control. And the work of CODA is to find a way to delegate some tasks to the air traffic controller or to an AI system. And to do so, we have some measurement that is operated with this predictive and current models for traffic, which is the complexity of the traffic, for instance, the tasks that the air traffic controllers have to do, and the workload, and what is the cognitive state of the air traffic controllers. And all of this is linked to what we call this neurophysiological monitoring, and which create this human-machine performance environment. And what we do with this measurement is that we create an adaptive strategy to correctly assign the task the air traffic controller will do. And the goal, of course, is to enhance safety, for sure, but to also enhance efficiency through this intelligent task assignment. Okay, so it seems a bit fuzzy, so let's go into something practical. So this is not the final version of HMI, but maybe it will help you better to understand what we want to do. So what would be great is that we could have a pointer, but it's okay. So we have on the left part here an assigned task that the air traffic controllers will have to do. And then you see the next column is the add code. The air traffic controllers add some tasks assigned, and the last one is the CODA system. What we have three levels of automation. The first one is no automation, so that's the one on the left, top left. So the second one is, we call that the air traffic controller is proactive. So that the air traffic controller will decide which task he or she wants to do. And the last one, CODA system, is proactive, which means that this is a CODA system that will suggest some action that the system will do. So for instance, if the air traffic controller is super busy, the CODA system will say, okay, I will do the job for you for the entering and exiting of the aircraft of your sector. So that's just one example, but it could be far more complex than that. So the system will say, if you don't do anything, I will take care of this task. So that's for the last, the CODA as a proactive system. On the second one, if the user will assign the system the task he or she wants to do. Okay. On the right part, you have, so sorry for very visible here, but you have all this notion of explanation. So you can have explanation on demand so that you can understand and monitor how the CODA system works. Okay, let's jump on the second project, TRUSTY, because we know that AI is strongly linked to the way we accept to work with the AI automation system and also how we trust this kind of system. So we have this other project called TRUSTY that we work in the domain of the remote digital tower. And why this is interesting for the AI system, we know that this is highly linked to the technological assets. So this is a perfect support for us to investigate how the user can gain or lose trust of an AI system. And this is a unique opportunity to do it with this TRUSTY project. So let me show you, again, this is a mock-up, so it's not the final version, but it's to make things really concrete. So we are in the context of the remote digital tower. So this is what the air traffic controllers can look at through the video stream. And then you have an AI system that will analyze the image and tell to the user what has been detected. So we barely see it, but you have some bird detected in red that could be dangerous, of course. There's an aircraft also that has been detected. And on the right part, you have the transcribe of the overall radio communication between pilots and air traffic controllers. So that you have the AI that monitors all of these things and provides information to the user So you can imagine that in a nominal situation, everything is okay, but if you have this aircraft detected and labeled as a boat, how the user will behave? Will still the user think the system is operational or not? Of course, there's an issue. But now what we also think is that if we add the explanation layer on top of that, then the user will understand a little bit more what the system will do, and then we still keep some trust into the system. This is exactly what we are trying to measure in this project. Okay, so let's go back on the key assets of both projects. So you got it. CODA is about this automation system using some predictive model for traffic, task, workload, using neurophysiological measurements, monitoring, this human-machine teaming, monitoring, and also this adaptation strategy. On the TRUSTY project, we are really focusing on the trust. And it's a lower TRL, but really we want to get some basic notion about measurement, KPI, about the trust, how the user trusts the system, and how we are able to measure. This is perfect. So this morning we had a very nice presentation, even if it was remote, a bit difficult to follow, but we had this alignment between these two projects and the guidelines provided by EASA. So for CODA, we have these different levels of automation. So for CODA, we are definitely on level 1 and 2. Level 3 is not yet, I mean, we just scratched the surface of it. But for CODA, what we think, because we are working with critical situations, we still keep the user in charge, no matter what. The user is in charge, and we go through and we'll have the final word for any decision the system will have to do. With TRUSTY, obviously, we are investigating this notion of trust, where you have this human-machine teaming. Something that I didn't mention, which is very important, the trust, we're going to investigate a little bit this notion of resiliency, how the user will use the AI, and if the AI fails, how the user will still be able to do the job. This is something very important, because as soon as the resiliency is not here, you cannot trust the system, for sure. Okay, let's have a tiny break here, but I like this question, for sure, what are the directions with the future system of AI? So maybe I will do something that is a little bit controversial, but let's see how it goes. We often discuss about artificial intelligence, and I think, of course, it's highly artificial because there is nothing intelligent in the system we know about AI these days. So some people prefer to discuss about synthetic intelligence because it's all fake. It's based on mass computation, some algorithm, and some statistic as well. Well, if we look backward and what are the recent advances that has been done in machine learning and AI, especially with the deep learning, it comes from the way we got inspired by the way the human works and behaves, and especially regarding the vision. So when the CNN appeared, it was highly based on this notion of convolution. And why? Because the way we perceive information is not linked to the single piece of information we gather, but all with this context. So this notion of gathering information around the thing we're looking at is very important, and this is a convolution. This is how our brain works. Possibly you heard that there's a lot of other bio-vision systems that exist these days, and especially the one called spiking neural networks. So it's a new generation of AI. Well, it's not, I mean, it's more than 10 years old, but these days, so many advances have been done, and they are highly linked to the system we perceive information. And they work on the neural level. And it shows very promising ways to work with this. And so that vision has always been a great source of information and inspiration. And so we know this old adage, for sure, a picture was 1,000 words, but we have to recall where we come from. We are hunters and gatherers. So in French we say that cueilleur and chasseur. And why? Is that because our vision system is the one that is the most important, right? And that's the one that helps us to survive these days. And this is also the reason why we get inspired by this vision system to create these new types of neural networks. This is saying, what if we call this new type of AI system this visual intelligence system? Because after all, this is the way it works, right? We use this vision as a way to perceive information, but also to communicate. So what if we turn that into something compatible with how the way we interact with our environment. So let's try to call that visual intelligence. So let me show you some nice pictures to show this notion of how visualization is really strong. So I'm sure you recognize on the right side here what happened during the Olympic Games when we close up this area around Paris. On the bottom left, this is another visualization that shows the nominal stage of 1 day of recorded aircraft trajectories with these really dense areas. And all of these have been produced by Renderline, the system we have at ENAC. So I think there's something interesting to investigate with this, how visualization could be injected at different levels in the AI. So of course we have this notion of resiliency, because what I see and understand, which doesn't mean that if the AI is not here, I will still be able to operate. This notion of trust is crucial. It's one of the cornerstone of this visual intelligence, because I see, I understand, right? And so that I trust the system. Ethics is also important, I've been touched base today a lot. This notion of human-machine teaming, because today the machine can talk to us with visualization, and we could do the same. We can inject to the machine some visualization. Traceability, of course, is very important, and with this notion of certification. Okay, so 3 more slides, and then, because, of course, we discussed a lot about AI, but we didn't tell the big word about the generative AI. This is what we have today. We are right into the generative AI with the LLM and many others with DALL-E. So this is DALL-E. For me, this is stunning, right? So the image on the right is the one from DALL-E, so the painter this time, and it is this thing which is called an anamorphose. So if you blink your eyes like this, you will see Abraham Lincoln, and it's really funny because it's also here, right? It's the mise en abîme for the one who like this notion of. Okay, and these days, DALL-E, the AI generative system, is able to create the same thing. And what is very interesting on that is that DALL-E is the way to produce images. It never targeted the way to create anamorphose. So this is very, very interesting that we have something that is flexible, versatile enough, that it creates things that humans that build the initial system were not aware of. And this is exactly what's going on these days with the capability of the system we are working on, that we are learning, we are investigating the capability of the new AI system. That's something really different from what we're used to. Okay, so really quick on that. I love this notion of dystopia. So this notion of automatic system and digital assistant has been long ago investigated, and with this Isaac Asimov laws and the way that it could get very, very bad. So for the one who will love this and know this, you know there is a trick in the third law that makes a loop and then can get into pitfalls. For the one who never seen this movie, it's very interesting as well to investigate the way that you can have a dystopia with the way you interact with virtual or digital assistants. And I love this moment when the system that is called HAL, that really meant to help the astronaut, right? And so there's a discussion, human-machine teaming between both, right? And all of a sudden the system say, sorry, so that the AI system says, sorry, I'm afraid I cannot do it, right? So, and we understand that this is not possible today. If we want a tool that works, the tool has to work, right? This tool cannot say, no, I'm not going to do what you asked me to, right? So that's the dystopia. Let's go into it, the utopia. So it's an old movie too, right? But I love that one, because this is a digital assistant that helps you a lot, and also opens the door to many fantasy for sure. But also this thing is what's going on today. And so this system is a virtual digital assistant that could be turned into a system that could be used for air traffic controllers, do some ATC, ATM for sure. But today there are some limitations regarding the asymmetry between the human and the machine. Is the machine capable to assess what the user asks the machine to do? Is the machine capable to say, I'm sorry, you asked me something that doesn't make sense? This notion of sentiment as well is something that the machine does not have. And today we do have some sentiment regarding the machine doing bad work. I don't trust the machine, I don't like the machine, right? But there is no symmetry on that. And all of this is about this notion of context, right? And the way we can improve the communication, human-machine teaming, and then improve the efficiency. Okay, so I stop here with the opening of the plenty of questions. Some references, I will keep the slides so that you can have a look at that. And the final, which is very important, if you want to follow what's going on with CODA, TRUSTY, please scan and join us. I will be happy to discuss further anytime. Thank you.